Good morning. This is Bobby Dupre with the Bobby Dupre Show, presented to you each Thursday morning at 7 a.m. And, of course, you can watch the replay of it on Sunday afternoon at 3 p.m. And many of you are doing that, and we appreciate it. And let us know something going on in your neighborhood. In fact, I called Don Stemmons not long before going on the air about something, and I'll talk about that in a few minutes. But just to let you know, we're glad to hear from you, right, Andrew?
Sure.
And we glad to get your mail, your emails, text messages, whatever way you want to reach us. Let us know what's going on that you'd like to mention, or something that has happened that's good in your area. It has to be good now. We don't want to get off track and get into any kind of controversy if we can possibly avoid that. And and of course, Andrew, my sidekick here.
Good morning.
I want to pay you for the whole hour today.
Sure.
I cut you short the last couple of weeks there.
Right. I got to get my 4 quarters.
Yeah, got to get the 4 quarters in, because 0 times 0, as the old preacher said, it ends up as 0
I got to make it up in volume.
In volume, that's right. You got to load up that. Got to get a bigger truck to haul more melons. That's what those two guys were talking about, the profits they were making hauling watermelons, and
they were breaking even. They were exactly 0.
And so the guy said, one of them had a good idea. He says, I have an idea how we can do it. He said, all we need is a bigger truck, he says.
That's it.
And wasn't worried about marketing it up properly. He just wanted to sell more. He just wanted to help the community out. And we start off by saying we need to
a couple of sponsors.
A couple of good sponsors.
Carl's Thrifty Way right here in Appaloosa. Go by Carl's to get all your I'll get it out, medicine needs, medicinal needs, your prescriptions filled, your multiple prescriptions compounded for you to make them easy to take if you want to do multiple prescriptions together, to just make it much simpler. We don't have those 2 or 3, 4 bottles to have to deal with. Over-the-counter medications, home decorating ideas, and gift ideas as well at Carl's Thrifty Way. And you know the holiday season is right here. And we've got LHC Group, all your home health care needs. LHC Group can help you with therapists, with nurses, with doctors that may have to come in to check on you. If you're looking for the special equipment, from the lift chairs to the special beds and oxygen equipment, they've got all that there as well, with a health and wellness center here, hospice care and palliative care all throughout the United States. It's all about helping people. LHC Group.
Downtown Opelousas, were you affected by the...
we had a squirrel fraud this week.
Yep. Squirrel knocks out the power. That's how strong a squirrel can be. It's hard to believe.
From the courthouse square to Tommy's Mobile, on the main drag was out. Now, they only said 1,200 people, but sure, it seemed like it had to be a lot more than that.
Well, of course, when you figure the businesses, it affected the banks and everything else downtown. It was quite a little experience, but I want to commend the Opelousas City Police Department. They were at all the major intersections, moving the traffic.
Because it hit the red lights. That was the major thing that it hit, basically the main red lights, right?
Right on 190, which is the heaviest traffic we have.
And on Main Street, which is, north-south, that's a lot of traffic, too.
A lot of traffic also. So I figured they probably had got your old squirrel, and that squirrel was trying to stay away from all the big shotguns out in the country, came to the city and didn't know exactly where to put his tail.
He went to the wrong spot.
Went wrong spot.
How about this? I got a note from Mitch Olivier over at Crawfish Corner. That's over at 529 South Union in the Old Canal station. He'd had a little fire in the back of the building. They had cleaned up, and he's back in action. He's buying pecans like he's always bought pecans, and he'll be selling crabs and shrimp, and crawfish season's right around the corner. If you need some, give a call to Mitch at 407 CLAW, C-L-A-W.
This is a sign that was made by someone who donated several different items, and these were cut out by a computer. What
laser etching, I guess is what they call that, or laser cutting.
Laser cutting, all of this, but
that's
this
an LSU logo.
LSU logo. This one is simple, but the ones that he sold at the fundraiser we had for the Cerebral Palsy Clinic, which we'll talk about in a little while. I want to get that out so y'all can see me, but I wanted you to see we're going to show a picture of it after a while when we're talking about it, but I wanted you to see the actual. He really has, meaning, I called him Dupre, Cecil Dupre. I'll get it out in a minute.
Right.
And he said his dad is Floyd Dupre, but not T. Floyd, that was is the son of, oh, shoots, I'll get it out in a minute. Anyhow, not the T. Floyd that lives by Texas Eastern gas plant out there. Cecil's daddy was also Floyd Dupre. Cecil, we'll get back and show a picture of you a little bit later, and we'll talk about the pieces that you made and how much money we raised, and we want to thank everybody, but we'll get to that in a little while. We did talk about the squirrels, and we'll talk about the death, a couple of death notices that I want to pass by you. One is a cousin of mine, Buren Dupre, was reading the paper early on Wednesday morning. This is when we taped the program, and noticed that Buren had died. I had not heard about it, so I immediately called my brother Cody and put him on notice, and he's going to try to make it because the funeral will be at 1 o'clock today. So I was fortunate. Our station where we taped the program is almost next door to Lafon Ordwine Funeral Home on Highway 182 here. And I guess Buren probably listened and or watched just about every program that I made since 38 years ago when I went on radio. I would make a statement that I knew a little bit about maybe the relationship of the family or something, and I would say, if anybody knows me, well, when I got off the phone was ringing. And he did that. That was one of the first things Amy told me when I walked up and, visited with the family a while ago. Did visit with the two daughters, Debbie and Gwen, and their husbands. And Amy says, "You sure missed a good, one of your good listeners and viewers of your program." I said, "I'm well aware of that." And of course, they operated a store. His daddy, Darbess, we call him Nonk Darbess, and Aunt Mamie, his wife, operated a grocery store, and Amy and Buren operated a store also. Then Buren got a job in Opelousas working with the sheriff's department, and his eyesight started getting bad, and Harold, clerk of court, Sylvester, was good friends with them, and he says, "Amy, if you would take a job with me, you could bring him to work every day," because it was getting dangerous for him to be driving a vehicle. So she said, "Well, sure, you would do that for me?" He said, "Oh, yes, if y'all close the store down, I'll give you a job." And she worked there, and so they were working across the hall from each other. So it was really, back then, they looked out for each other. They looked out for each other, and it's a good little story. And to Amy and the family, anything I can do, please give me a call. And another person that he marinated a steak for me. Started that about 22, 23 years ago, marinating a steak for me. And I'm talking about Bervick George. They put here Big B. I just call him Bervick. Sometimes I'd forget the last name because it's a first name also. Right. But his brother, Earl, had called me and told me about the death, and he was buried. I didn't realize when he was be buried. It was a few days after his death. He was buried last Saturday. So many of you know Bervick. He cooked and helped out and took care of Mr. Coca-Cola family. Morrissey. Mr. Morrissey. Took care of Mr. Morrissey for a long time, and he took care of Billy Sandoz for many, many years. When he died, when Mr. Morrissey died, he actually left a car, a almost new Cadillac. The Cadillac that Bervick was driving, I guess until his death, was a car that was given to him by the Morrissey family. By the Morrissey family for the good work that he had done. Just a super, and Earl is the same way. They do for others. Never about money. It was about helping, always. Our sympathies to their family.
All
And
right.
we'll get a couple more in a minute, but
Well, we'll talk about helping people. I saw over the OPAC financial offices, if you go by the local OPACs, they're doing a food drive right now for Thanksgiving, and a lot of places are, and in your local OPACs, they've got the boxes set up. It's going to, the canned goods or whatever you bring, dry goods, you know, something that's not perishable, it's all going to go to help Second Harvest Food Bank out of Lafayette. I know Second Harvest is very active with helping the New Life Center here, the St. Joseph's Diner in Lafayette, and a lot of the different needy groups around. So if you want to bring it by, and I think OPAC's even doing something to encourage people, if you bring in some canned goods, you can register for a free gas card as well. So a good thing to, you know, give back to the community. Josh and Naomi, Sierra, Stephanie, the whole crew here at our Opelousas branch.
And I might add that they've got some fresh money to lend out, plenty of money. So
that's right, not perishable.
They need, that's right, they need your business. Besides, while you're there being generous, you can also make your Thanksgiving and Christmas loans.
Get a little loan for the Christmas gifts.
It's time, right around the corner.
And this Monday is going to be Veterans Day. I want to remind everybody, over in Crotch Springs at the elementary school, like they have every year, they have their huge Veterans Day program starting at 9 a.m. The kids do all the presentations. I had James Doge give me a call about it. If you need any more information, you can call the school there at 566-3585. The general public's all invited, and especially veterans.
We have some pictures that were sent to me by Jim Lopez, and it's about a hunting trip. And look how beautiful that picture is. Look,
a little lake.
It looks like a lake in the back of them. They would deer hunting is what they were doing, and in that particular picture there, I think it's well, it's Jim Lopez, Mr. Willis Fontenot, and that's what this whole picture is all about. They were entertaining, and I think he ended up entertaining. Mr. Willis, of course, is 93 years old, killed the biggest, there's a better picture. There's Jim, Mr. Willis, Stevie, and Kim Fontenot, Mr. Willis's son. Of course, Kim is
with
works
the city
with the
now.
city.
With the city works. It was with Power Company for years as well.
For years as well. That's it. And there could be another picture.
There he is.
There he is right there. And Jim says not only did he kill the biggest, but he works the hardest. He never stops working, he says. And that's what I know. I know when I pass by his house, he's cutting, he's trimming the flower beds, and just never stops. And at 93, I'd be afraid to stop too if I was in as good a health as he's in.
You got it. And I want to remind everybody again that December the 4th is coming up. That's Wednesday, December the 4th at the Indian Hills Country Club. We'll be doing the Opelousas Area Cerebral Palsy Clinic fundraiser to help all those kids out. We'll be sending the invitations out in the next week or so. Your donations you can see on the screen. P.O. Box 70 in Opelousas, Louisiana is how you can send a donation in. If you're not on our mailing list, I'll make sure to get the tickets out to you. And we got our first donation from the first man every year, Mr. Rupert Reshort down in Church Point, my cousin.
October the 15th, it was sent to us.
You got it.
He tries to be the first, and you are the first, Mr. Lubert, and we thank you. Isn't it his son?
And his son is the guy who comes in represents Community Coffee every year.
Coffee.
Make sure all the Community Coffee is donated.
And there's a check in here too.
Well, that's good.
Not
I'll
just
make sure the check's taken care
it's
of.
not just a hello.
Generous man, very generous man.
You bet. And
we got about 20 seconds for our commercial break, so I don't know what you want to wrap up here. I guess we could wrap now. I guess we'll see you folks on the other side of 1 minute.
And we'll come back for the second quarter.